a rapeleng Jehova re lebogela mošomo o re fileng one re lebogela lerato lo dulang o re pegile ka lone rara re lebogela mogau o dulang o re coverile ka dinako tsotlhe ha sebeletso ya gago tla simolola rara a tsotlhe ka rona di ekofatshe Jesu a pagamisiwe ke ene helo re tseng a re if I be lifted up all men shall be drawn unto me. Let it not be a display in our abilities, but if it may do anything, let it draw someone to Christ this morning. This is our humble prayer, not because we are worthy, but because of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
I greet you all in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. I greet you all in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. It is good to see you all smiling. One of the preachers once said that one of the reasons why God will not be taking everyone to heaven is because he is worried that some of you will not be happy in heaven. So he loves you so much that he doesn't want to take you to a place where you feel out of place. So when we are here and we are happy, I can already see that all of us will be happy in heaven. So that today's announcements, there will be a regular church board meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. here at church, and all church board members are encouraged to attend. The Women's Ministries Department will be having a week of prayer, starting from the 1st, which is this Sunday, till the 7th of March. Next week, Sunday, sorry. There will be a Women's Ministries Widow Retreat from the 3rd to the 5th of April 2020 at Fairview.
Number 39. O Jesu litwalalami, O Jesu litwalalami, to. O Jesu litwalalami, kuye usindi zolwami, ngengezenga tembo kwami, ngopaswa itwalalami. Jesu Kristu litwala konko kunye kuzondula konko kunye kuzondula yobomnyama uphambi mangingozeli tembala nespepoe kelele yamba ingalaji koloi ngoba uJesu Kristu litwala konko kunye kuzondula konko kunye kuzondula isifungo siqinile kulabo abathembele kanxa mina ngithangele uJesu ngisa. Amen. uJesu Kristu litwala konko kunye kuzondlula konko kunye kuzondlula akukhala yona icilongo kuye it one more time. Kokunye kuzondlula. A little bit slower. Jesu Christ. All other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. Amen.
I greet the Church of God in a wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
God is good.
All the time.
Amen. Our sermon today is titled Giving. Giving when you think you have nothing.
Okay.
Giving when you feel like your cup is not overflowing. If you cannot give when you have the little that you have, God cannot trust you with more.
Yeah.
In Psalms 23, verse 5, the latter part of the verse says, "My cup overflows." God cannot cause your cup to overflow if you're not investing your time in giving. Some of us are rich. We just don't know yet. Our cups are overflowing with spiritual messages, spiritual food. Some of us are prayer warriors. Why are we not investing our time in giving prayer to others? Why are we not giving or investing our time in sharing the word of God with those around us? As a child, you're asking yourself, what can I give? That lunch box that you take to school, there's someone who doesn't have food for lunch. Invest your time in preparing one extra slice so that you can be able to share with your fellow learner. God said,
Calvary, amen. Oh, Jesu, oh, lewami, oh, ngiholayo, kidela, umhlobo wami, impela. Gikumbula Calvary mina ngiyaphambi ay yes bindi uKristu seduze kwami ngitembu Jesu Zombona isihlobo se-Calvary. Oh, Jesu nguholy wami. Amen. Oh, ngiholayo kidela umhlobo wami impela ngikumbula Calvary. Let's do this chorus one more time. Yena o Jesu nguholy wami. Aye. Jesus shall lead me all the way. He is the truest friend to me. For I remember
Rapeleng, Modimo ya Musa, Modimo ya lerato, Jehova ya lokileng, bless us. and keep us, Lord. May you please keep the devil away from us as we strive to be in your fold. Give us the strength, give us the courage, Lord, to remain in the fold and praise you all the days of our lives. I pray all these things in the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Bayabingelelwa abathandwa benkosi egameni lenkosi yethu Jesu Kristu. Amen.
Amen.
I can see, Brother Mdise, what you felt is the same. There is a hospital for sins.
Okay.
There's hospital for a heart. Terrible disease of a heart. It's very terrible. Mazingema nje inhliziyo zenu nonke lazingapompi igazi wa certify all dead. Amen. Amen ule ndawo. Nithukile. It's a serious case. Indaba yenhliziyo. Very serious. In South Africa or ezweni angazi noma yizwe or South Africa, there was one doctor bambiza Chris Barnard, a heart what okwazi ukukhipha inhliziyo epompayo nengapompi afake epompayo. But there's one secret. Akakwazi ukukhipha inhliziyo bese wenza surgery yenhliziyo. What I'm saying ngesizulu akakwazi ukuthi inhliziyo ayivule ngoba immediately avula inhliziyo. I think akakabi kulo dokotela kodwa ukhona engimaziyo udokotela olungisa inhliziyo, hayi ofaka nokhipha inhliziyo. The very heart that you have, ukhona umnikazi wayo, udokotela, uprofessor, umdali. Just think, angazi cabanga ngenhliziyo noma ngengqondo bamasini. Cabanga ngenhliziyo ingqondo. I'm still confused. I'm still running that course ayipheli. Ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi sicabanga ngenhliziyo or ngengqondo. And who's supposed to believe in inhliziyo or ingqondo? Who take decisions in inhliziyo or ingqondo? Ngoba njengoba sigula ukuthi inhliziyo ipompa igazi elingalungileyo elikhoswa ukudla okungalungileyo. Amen. Wathinta ukudla hayi usetraveling. Namanje nje sicabanga ilunch. Heart. uNkulunkulu mayixoxa no Isaiah, when he speaks or they talk conversation, they spoke about heart. God spoke about heart, the heart that he has created. Namanje ngine pain somewhere around la from 2 days ago, and this morning ngithi kumama ubheka yena ukuthi yini wrong. Ngithi my heart, angazi noma my heart noma yini, there's something pain here. Then she said I must go and see the doctor today, because heart, whatever is around the heart, it's life-threatening. Hallelujah. Angazi when you were deciding to be a Christian, baptized, you decided with your heart or with your head or mind? I don't know. Because immediately you have decided ukuthi izinto ezila enhliziyweni uyazilahla or inhliziyo plus ingqondo uyazilahla, you decide to take Jesus as your personal savior, and there's a medication which comes from Jesus Christ. Ukudla kahle, ukulala kahle, ukwenza umsebenzi kahle, ugcina isikhathi, yonke into. Then that medication, inhliziyo won't falter. Jeremiah 17 verse 9. Uyakhuluma la uJeremiah uthi their heart is deceitful above all other things. Now I come to my answer. It means even the biggest person here, it's a heart in me. Because they say, hey, iyakhohlisa undlula zonke izitho zakho zomzimba. You can be well when your heart pumps well. Angazi 75 what is 72 or 84? Abodokotela bazonceda ama pumps nesikhathi futhi ulalela ukuthi ishaya kanjani inhliziyo everyday. Mdala ngithi wena physiology lezo zinto. Now, and desperately wicked. A heart is desperately wicked. Sihlezi la sonke. Hayi. NgesiZulu wathi inhliziyo igayibuzi. Angazi kusuka kwenziwani lapho. Ukuthi inhliziyo yenzani. Igayibuzi uthi the machinery is busy deciding evil things because it's desperately wicked. We need to pray for the heart. Bathu bani ongayazi ukuthi inhliziyo yimbi kangako. Inhliziyo iyakha amakhaya. When somebody says I love you, I think even your heart pumps more better to hear just I love you. Meanwhile, you don't know how much that love you is loving you. Bese uyavuma because you found something that pleases your heart. And the Lord search the heart. The Lord says, I test the mind. My confusion is around there. Nkulunkulu ulinga ingqondo. Kodwa uNkulunkulu uhlola inhliziyo. Uhlola inhliziyo. We decide not to come in time or in time. Because it's Sabbath. It's a day of rest. We just decide in our wickedness. But during the week, we decide to be on time because it's our heart. It loves where it's going. On Sabbath, it doesn't love where it's going. So long figil. We need to pray for that. Because the agreement and the appointments are made between the two, yourself and God, that you will meet on Sabbath. And we are so arrogant that we need the Lord to answer our prayers. Mawugula nje ugula manje socela bagulayo come front sikuthandazele, then you wish to be healed same time, you force God. And when God says, come unto me, all you are heavy laden, asimniki zonke lezo kunezithu ama reserve ukuthi ngizawuveza le mabe qhamuka ngale ngiveza le. It's a heart. If we slap inhliziyo, everything is well in our souls, everything. One time ngabona umamfundisi angene kule nto kuyidialysis, hayi umamfundisi uNkambule, umamfundisi uMbetsi asaphila. The blood was running in the tubes and then come to the heart, purify in the tubes. It was a terrible sin. If we can know how we are, angeke sidlale ngoNkulunkulu. Ngicela singadlalisi shem. Abantwana yiba badlalisa umanhlwanhlwane, ubaba, umama. Let them play, but we as adults and decided to be Christians, let's live what is not desired by God. Because there will be terrible consequences. Siyagula, we need to trace back what makes us to be ill. Check your steps until. Then you'll know exactly what is the problem. And then we reverse the system. Go back to God. Give it to Jesus. He will make it. Because no matter what he, ngabe bowukhona umfowethu ngabe angashonanga. But because the life giver was there, he rose Lazarus. Today, sihlezi la sisonke. Maybe besemathuni asiphumeni ngegama lika Jesu Kristu. Amen. We shall kneel and pray. Bawethu sezulwini, uNkulunkulu onamandla. Siyakhuleka ekseni nje phakathi kwenkonzo yakho. Ngohlelo oludalile ukuthi kufuze kukhulekelwe inkinga nezinto ezingalungile kithina. Kunezinye sezisibhaqile uNkulunkulu siyazibona ukuthi asambi kahle. Sinje ngoba asikakavumi ukwenza intando yakho. Asithi uNkulunkulu sizozenzela sihlulekile uNkulunkulu, we have failed. But sicela ukuza kuwe siphambanweni, sicela ukucela kuwe silethe imithwalo yethu, siletha zonke iziguli ngemhlobo wazo. In different manners we bring our sickness, our headaches, our problems. In the name of Jesus, as we are in this hospital of salvation, Lord Jesus, give us strength and power. Heal us, Lord. Heal us, Jesus. We come before you in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
It's time for our future generation to come to receive their sermon or the story.
Abantwana abancane bathanda umhle baligugu kuJehova owabu menzi yengasoyi kanyezi kukhanya kumcele kobuhle bayokhanya bakhanya
friends. May somebody please pray for us.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, and we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not to temptation, that deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
It's story time. It's story time. When we come to Sabbath school, it's story time. It's story time. It's the best time of all. Every Sabbath when I come to church, I look forward to listening to the different types of Bible stories. Today, my story is going to be about David, the little shepherd boy. Israel's first king was Saul. Saul disobeyed God. So God sent a man named Samuel to find a man named Jesse. Samuel told Jesse that one of his sons are going to become king. Samuel found Jesse in Bethlehem. Jesse had 7 sons. Samuel looked at those 7 sons and asked Jesse, where's the other one? Jesse said, it's only my youngest son, David. David was in the fields attending to the sheep. Jesse called for his youngest son, David. And Samuel looked at David and said, he is the one, and anointed him to be king. Sometime later, the Israelites fought the Philistines. A big giant called Goliath challenged them to bring a person who is stronger than him. In the war, David brought food to his brothers and heard Goliath challenging the Israelites. And David said, how dare you defy God's army? I will fight you. King Saul offered David his armor. And David said, no, God helped me kill wild beasts, and he will help me fight Goliath. Goliath was so surprised for them to bring a small man because he usually used to fight the big armies. David took 5 stones and a sling and hit Goliath in the forehead, and he died. With the help of God, the Israelites defeated the Philistines, and David was a hero. This is the song which David sang after he killed Goliath. Little David, play on your harp. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Little David, play on your harp. Hallelujah. Little David boy, a shepherd boy. He killed Goliath and he shouted for joy. Little David, play on your harp. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Little David, play on your harp. Hallelujah. This is the verse which David wrote, Psalms 23. Psalms 23 verse 1, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Verse 2, he maketh me lie down in green pastures, he leadeth me beside the still waters. Verse 3, he restoreth my soul, he leadeth me through a path of righteousness for his name's sake. Verse 5, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Verse 5, Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anoint my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Verse 6, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. May somebody please pray for us.
Thank you for this lovely Sabbath day. Can you bless us with another day like this? Can you help us to go through our life well while happy? Can you help us to go through our life still when we're happy? Can you help us to live our lives very happily? Can you help those who need your help? Can you help those that don't know that they need your help, but you know? Can you help those who live around you, but you can still help them even though they don't know? God, can you bless those who know about you and those who don't? Can you bless those who are learning about you and those who are not? In Jesus' name, amen.
We love your story, yes we do. We thank you, yes we do. So don't forget to come again, to come back. Oh yes, to tell us more. We love your story, yes we do. We thank you, yes we do. So don't forget to come again, to come back. Oh yes, to tell us more.
To introduce the panel behind me, in front of you, on my far left, we have our elder Dan Dladla.
Amen.
Next to him, we have Kgaugelo Makura.
Amen.
Then we have our own dynamite, Mr. Javu Hlanti. Hlanti. Myself, it's Mr. Titi. To usher our preacher, we shall all rise and sing number 199.
Let's all rise. Number 199. Magubongwin kose to. Magubongwin kose gegwenzi leyo yatanda ilis yasipu Jesu wate lugupil gezono zetu wavula isango zengene ngalo bongani enkosi mauzwe uhlaba bongani enkosi yenamane bantu boza neguyis ngayindo dana limni. Amen. Kudumu ngakwenzi leyo degi kululu itengwenge kazi zitembe sosengo singoko vayo eso ni esibi esiko lwayo masinya siyaxo lelwa. Amen. Jesu bongani inkosi mauzwe uhlaba bongani inkosi yenamani la kwenzile wakufundisa inkule tokozo ayindodana ngoba kuhle kupha ngemeko thulwa lapho sibona senyuka noJesu bongani inkosi wawuzwe umhlaba bongani inkosi yenamani bantu oza nekuyise ngayindodana imnike udumo ngakwenzileyo.
First and foremost, I was not planning to wear a jacket and a tie today. So I asked my wife, and I avoided to ask her face to face because she would give me that face. So I decided to ask her through WhatsApp, can I wear a shirt instead of a tie and a jacket? And she said no. So I am here to confess that I am under duress. I did not plan to wear this, but I'd like to take it off. It's a bit heavy on me. I hope it's fine with you, church. Amen. I greet you all in Jesus' name. It's a good day to be here. We have been around the country or around 2 provinces for a while, and we have not been to our home church for a while. So it is good to be back here. The song that we just sang, it's one of the songs that I first learned when I was young. Our church, my home church, the Clarksop Church, the beautiful church. I heard someone saying Kempton Park is the greatest church in the world. I'll let it slide, it's okay. But where I'm from, that's what I thought. When they sing this song, sometimes you think that the walls might come down. Because they sing it with intention. It's like they understand what they are saying. They did not sing because someone had decided on that particular choice on that morning. And I must also make my second confession. I do not live in the same house as Ntate Dladla. I haven't seen him for the past 3 to 4 weeks. And as he was coming into me, asking me about Chris Barnard, I asked him, what are you doing in my sermon so early, even before I stood up to preach? Because my intention was to preach about the heart this morning. So to that effect, I'd like us to take our Bibles and turn to the book of Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. It's difficult to preach without a mic stand. I always think that I have a very beautiful voice, a singing voice. So every time I hold the mic like this, it is sort of tempting me to sing, and my sons are here. I cannot do that, or else I'll not hear the end of it. It reads in this following manner: guard your heart above all else, for it is the source of life. The Message version, it says, keep a vigilant heart. The other version says, watch over your heart with all vigilance. The biggest struggles of the Old Testament was how to keep the heart in check. When you read the story of Cain, you realize that the first thing when God comes to him, he says, I have looked into your heart and I see it has a problem. When you go to Noah, Noah eventually God tells Noah that I will harden their hearts so that they do not hear me. The heart has always been problematic. Every time, whenever something of major calamity happened in the Old Testament, it was either because reason failed or common sense was not fully applied. And God had to harden hearts, same as he hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that if they cannot hear him through their heart, they might as well hear him through judgment. But someone could be asking, Kanti, isn't the heart a blood-pumping muscle? Isn't the heart just one of the things that keep us alive? In fact, throughout all the cultures, so from the old cultures, even the new ones, they all recognize the heart as more than the pumping of the blood, which is vital to the body, of course. So much that if the heart itself will come to a standstill, your life will come to an end. So the heart is the heart of life. It is what basically encompasses what is life. Because if anything happens to your heart, specialists are called in order to have a closer look with diligence and great skill to look at your heart. If your heart doesn't beat the right way, if the rhythm of your heart has skipped, if you have a pain in your chest close to your heart, then you know heart is broken. And then when something does not go right in your life, you'll say, you know what? Yeah? That's what you'll say, that my heart is not at rest. And many other words that we will use to describe how we feel. Proverbs 23 verse 7, it alludes to something deeper. It says, as a man thinketh, so is he. It says, as a man thinketh, where? In his heart, so is he. Now, because God is good, we cannot see the heart. Amen. We can only interpret the actions that we see on the outside, so that we can determine the type of a heart that person has. If you look at me being lovey-dovey with my wife, what you will say? Jabu is a loving person. Because why? We cannot see what? The heart. If we act in a certain way, then others can come to a safe conclusion on the type of a person that we are, because of how we carry ourselves, how we act, how we walk, how we live. It is the total sum of how our heart is like. And if it is how our heart is, then there are reasons, my friends, why we should guard our hearts with all diligence. The 10 Commandments are a general observation of how to keep your heart in check. The first 4 commandments addresses the attitude of the heart. Because if the heart does not know who is God, then the heart will have a problem with giving God his space. If the heart does not know who is God, then the heart will find reasons to go become an adulterer. It will find reasons to go and bear false witness. It will find reasons to go steal and to go kill, because it does not know who should be the king of your heart. The effects of an unguarded heart lead to one and only one thing: rebellion. Jeremiah 17:9, it says, the heart is deceitful above all. Who can know it? Listen to me. Juxtaposing Proverbs 23 verse 7 with Jeremiah 17:19, we witness a few things. Because the heart is hidden, it can help us put up a perfect mask. It can make me come to church, take up my seat, sing beautifully with my tie, and with my kids all around me. Yet when we leave the church, I become a monster and I beat up my wife. The heart is such a great thing that it helps the worst among us be able to be the best in our faces, because we are able to put up a facade so that no one should know who is the real us. Because the heart is hidden, we do not know of other people's intentions until they have done to us what we never thought they are capable of doing to us. It's because the heart is hidden to us. Yet when Samuel went to anoint one of Jesse's sons, and he looked at the appearance, God kept him in check, and he said, I look at the heart, because God can see the heart. Yet Rona, we are looking at the outside. In fact, it is like the HIV virus. You think that everything is fine. It starts very, very easy. The cells, they pretend as if they are the good cells. They eat up all the good cells up until all that is left is the bad cells. And then that's when the truth becomes obvious that you are sick, not because of what you thought it was, but because you've had a serious problem all along. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Jesus takes it further in Matthew chapter 15, verse 17 up to 19. I am paraphrasing it. He says, what you eat will be eliminated out of your body. But what comes out of your mouth, it stems from the heart. And that is what defiles and dishonors you. Let me take it further. We look at what others eat and we assume that is what makes them horrible. Whereas those whose hearts are nasty and filthy, they eat vegan food. They do not defile their plates with anything that should not be eaten. Yet their hearts are filthy. And you think because they eat well, then they mean well. It's because we cannot see the heart. We judge others with what's on our plate. Whereas God can see the heart. For out of the heart comes all evil thoughts and plans. Comes out murders. Comes out adulterers. Comes out sexual immoralities. Comes out thieving. Comes out false testimonies. Comes out slander. These are the things, my friends, that defiles a man. Jesus says it defiles him more than what you eat. Man's heart is truly wicked. Some of the worst crimes we have witnessed in history, they were committed by good and decent people. Let me tell you a story about F.W. de Klerk. F.W. de Klerk, he was raised in a family that has the likes of J.G. Foster as his uncle. That had the likes of people who were part of the apartheid state when it began. Now, when he says apartheid was not evil, it's because he was raised by those people. He knows those people personally. Those were good people to him. They were decent people to him. When he was crying, I'm sure they will pick him up and they will keep him quiet. And when he was angry, they will give him food. They were good people as far as he was concerned. But look at the effects of it. Just because I am good to someone, you might realize that I'm far more uglier than you have actually come to realize. Because the heart is wicked. The heart gives the degenerates in our society a perfect cover for abuse. You find a very good grade 1 teacher, but you don't know that he abuses the same kids who are in his class. Yet when everyone looks at him, they say, he's a very good teacher to our kids. But guard your heart. That's what the Bible says. Because out of it flows the issues of life. So how do we guard our hearts? In the Old Testament, Psalms 119, it gives us a few insights. It says, verse 9, it says, how do I keep myself pure? By keeping watch according to your words. And in all my heart I seek you. Your words I have treasured and stored them in my heart, that I may not sin against you. Those words were written by David. Yet we sit here this morning in our Bibles and we know the type of a man David was. David, when he could not get something, he went out of his way to get it. To a point that when he wanted Bathsheba, he had to make way so that he can kill Bathsheba's wife. Yet he says he had God's heart hidden where? In his heart. The Old Testament is littered with such examples and instances of hearts that were led astray, especially the Israelites. Even with good counsel, even with chastisement, even with God's always reminding them that he loves them, Israel could not keep her heart in check. Israel could not, with all her diligence. Prophets were called on him. Yet Israel could not keep her heart in check. Laws were devised. Plans were made. They were carried to exile. They came back, but hey, the heart remained as it was. So I want to conclude this morning that it is impossible for human beings to keep guard of their hearts. It is impossible for human beings to keep guard over their hearts. It is especially in how we practice religion that it shows how hard it is for us to keep our hearts in check. We can improve the long lists of do's and don'ts. We can enforce the rules. We can pray about the rules. We can complain about the dresses. We can complain about the ties. We can complain about the makeup. We can complain about everything else. Because we assume that the more we talk about them, the more the heart will be made right. But it is impossible. As long as human beings think that they can keep their hearts in check. Now, we are coming to the heart of the problem. Or rather, you can say we come into the problem of the heart. What must be done? The question remains. Who has already failed to look after the heart cannot be commissioned with doing it because he has already failed it. Rather, we find it easier all the time to mess it up than to clean it up. Because this is how salvation by works functions. You do your best to become a good boy, and then you put it out outwardly, and there's nothing that changes on the inside. Now we come to the conclusion that Paul comes to when he says, "Oh wretched man that I am, who will deliver me from this body of death?" Philippians 4:7 tells us that, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, shall guard your heart and thoughts in Jesus Christ." Because we have failed to guard ourselves, now we have a better guard to guard our hearts. Because we had to, on our own, we fail and we struggle. Now we have a better person to look after our hearts. Jesus calls people like us to come to him so that he can take out our burdens. Now the problem with this verse, when he says those who are weary and heavy laden, the trick is that you cannot respond if you are not weary of your heart. Look at the verse. He says, all who are weary and heavy burdened. It means you must come to a point and you say, I've done this. I am failing. I cannot do it no more. I need to go find someone else. But as long as you carry it, it means you are fine with it. Let me tell you a story of a person who was given a lift. The car was stopped because the person was carrying a heavy load. The person comes into the car, and the first thing that he does after closing the door, he takes the load, he puts it on top of him, and the car goes. And the driver says, but I gave you a lift because of your burden. He says, no, it's my burden. I am fine with it. That's why we still have problems with our burdens, because we are not yet weary. They have not yet become too heavy for us to bear. Yet Jesus tells us, or rather the book of Philippians tells us, that he is ready to receive you. It says that he will give you peace beyond understanding. Now, I have a problem with this, with peace beyond understanding. It means that it's a type of peace that when you cannot keep your heart and you know that you love going where you're not supposed to go, the next day when you pass where you're not supposed to pass, you cannot go in because someone new resides in your heart. It means to me what appealed to you yesterday when it was easy for you to eat what you should not be eating. Today, when you go past the same plate, you are no longer as interested as you were in the same plate as you were yesterday, because you have a new king who resides in your heart. It means to me that when you are prepared and you are ready to go fight and go tell people the nonsense that you'd rather tell them because we're not how to, then the time when that happens, when you have heard what you have heard, you go on your knees and you pray for them because you have a new king that has taken place in your heart. It means it's a peace that when someone looks at you and they remember the type of a person you used to be, it goes beyond their understanding because they know you used to do A and this is how you used to react. And then the song that we used to sing when we were growing up, it says, the things I used to do, I do them No more. You know why? Because you have decided that you need a new person to take off your heart. Because you have realized that you cannot take off your heart. Therefore, Proverbs 4:23, as much as it is important, it has shown that human beings cannot do what they are expected to do. Now, what is to be done? Someone is asking. That you are heavy laden. You don't know what to do with yourself. The solution is one. It was in 2000 years. It is still today. Men and women, after 2000 years, they still flock to the same solution. That Jesus of Nazareth is able. He is prepared to take your burden. All you have to do is to come to a conclusion that you are tired of being yourself. You are tired of doing what you've been doing. And then he is able. He is prepared. It does not matter how horrible it has been. It does not matter the depths of your heart have gone into. Jesus is prepared to take you as you are. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. There is nothing that he cannot clean. There is no person he cannot sort out. It doesn't matter what you've done. Some of us, we are held back by an abortion you committed 20 years. It's a long time ago. Come to Jesus. You might have committed things that you thought they were beyond reproach. Jesus takes you as you are. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Amen.
Amen, church. Come to Jesus. Let's all stand and sing hymn number 244. Come to Jesus.
Zangu Jesu, zangu Jesu, zangu Jesu, to. Zangu Jesu, zangu Jesu, zangu Jesu, manje, manje, wo zangu ye, manje. Let's add a bit of tempo. Osindisa, 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 manje, manje, osindisa, ozaguye, unamandla, 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 manje, manje, unamandla, ozaguye, kelaguye, 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 manje, manje, kelaguye, ozaguye, ulindele, 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 manje, manje, ulindele, ozaguye, ngizothemba kuye, themba kuye, themba kuye, manje, manje, themba kuye, ozaguye, manje, obusisa, obusiswa, obusiswa, manje, manje, obusiswa, ozaguye, manje.
Arrapeleng. Jehova re lebogela tirelo ya gompieno, re lebogela lerato la gago, re lebogela go utlwa molaetsa gore matsogo a gago rara a se a tlale a emetse rona re tle mo go one rara ba bangwe ba rona ba tlile ka dipelo tse di botlhoko mo mošong wa gompieno jehova go ne sena gope ko bana ba tla ya teng except to come here, Heavenly Father. If the word today did not reach to them, Heavenly Father, do your thing and get to them. Some of us came broken this morning, Heavenly Father, and there's nothing else we could do except to come here. If anyone else, Heavenly Father, was not covered this morning, do your thing. You've done it throughout the years. We've seen you put people back to where we never thought they'll be restored. Because all of this, it's in your power, Heavenly Father. We pray all of this because we know that you are able. You have forgiven us before. You have forgiven others. We have seen you do it. Therefore, extend your loving arms to the rest of us. This is our humble prayer this morning. Just